Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 139. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra from beautiful Savage, Minnesota. Oh my goodness. My son has almost graduated. I'm going to be that old dad in an empty nest. Joined by Mark, the Canadian Carabin, who is still alive, hasn't gotten killed by noxious fumes with his printer. Good to see you, Mark.
Hey, good to see you.
Stay safe.
I can happily say I've been doing everything outside. Everything's good. I haven't near killed anyone with my printing. I'm finishing up some Mandalorian armor, so I'm hoping to reveal that in the next week and a half or so. I have a con coming up, but no near-death experiences with fumes or anything like that. It's been a good time.
Very, very cool. And then we are joined by a good friend of the Secret Friends Unite. And I don't know at this point, he might be a five-timer. Might be compared with all the co-op modes, Secret Friends Unite, all the shows. And that's Chris Johns, better known as CJ from 1 Hour, One Decision. My goodness, Chris, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I can't wait till I get the nice, cigar coat from you guys. So, I'll just check for that in the mail every day.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's in the mail. Believe me, it's there. I mean, we ordered it from Temu, so I don't know what it will be. It may be the size of a Barbie coat. So just be prepared for it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Exactly. You can put it on like Master Chief, and you can look all fancy with the jacket.
Yeah, there you go. But good to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be a fun one. We're getting close to kind of E3. I don't even want to call it Summer Games Mess. But this episode's going to be about Xbox, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to talk about the future of Xbox this episode. And so we thought bring on a guy who lives and dies by the random generator for Game Pass. And that is Chris. So Chris will tell you all about how to access his shows and his content and this cool stuff he does at the end of the show. But before we do that, we got to thank some very important people.
Yes, we have to thank all the wonderful people that support us over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, where you can head right now for a free 7-day trial. Check out all of these shows ad-free, some extra bonus content, and a whole bunch of cool little perks like that. We have to thank our Friends with Benefits tier, including John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters cosplay team, Matthew Keel, and Corey in HD, as well as our BFF tier, Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, and the amazing Missy Merchant. Again, patrons get all these shows either early or ad-free or exclusive or whatever. Like, there's a ton of stuff over there. So head on over to patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite for a free 7-day trial and see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah, Charlie just dropped a new episode of Secret Friends Unite Spotlight with a British professor who is viewing all of the original Star Trek episodes. So they have a good conversation about that. I'll be curious to see what a gentleman has to say about Star Trek with Charlie. So check that out. It's free for Patreons right now. We did our cool, if you want to check out a cool episode with Mark being on it, was our Spinner Rack, where we reviewed Star Wars Dark Empire, a Star Wars Legacy title. So very good. At this point, if you want to check out all of our content, it's all there. It's really fun. And we'd love to check out a free trial of it if you can. So with that, oh my goodness, we get to buy, rent, return this week. And Mark did his due diligence before we even started this up. Chris didn't have an opinion on this, so we will have to gauge where Chris stands in this one. And because we're kind of in the mode of like companies doing really dumb stuff, I thought I would look back at like past snafus with gaming hardware. And so our buy, rent, return this week is gaming snafus with hardware. And then I picked 3. Joy-Con Drift, the Red Ring of Drift, the Red Ring of Death with the Xbox 360, and the famous 6-axis controller where PlayStation says Rumble is old technology. So that was the Rumble-less PlayStation controller. Mark said, are we picking the thing we want, or are we picking the worst thing? And I'm like, we're going all in and celebrating failure, so we're going to buy the worst one. So, so before we go into it, Mark, I think we should, have an opinion for someone who we didn't explain the rules, and that's Brendan Meyer, the Winter Gamer.
Yeah. Brennan said, so I'm thinking like I should reverse what he says here, but I'll read it how he did it. But I think based on our rules, this should be flipped for him.
Flipped.
The buy and the return really should be flipped. But so he wrote buy, no rumble because I usually turn rumble off anyway. Rent, Joy-Con drift because you can still force through and play. Usually I've had some Joy-Con drift where you just can't. And then return the red ring of death because it did. So I think that's the worst. He's saying that one's the worst. So I think that moves up to his buy.
Exactly. He was buying the one he could live with. He's like, what's the worst thing that'll happen? I can still play. I just can't feel the bed shake when Kratos is getting a lady. That's the only thing. Yeah. So, and he's okay with Mario going around in circles. Apparently, can't get out of the return. And he didn't think about putting his Xbox 360 in the oven with a towel. Apparently, that was supposed to heat up the glue, reapply the glue.
Yeah. Or just turn it on with a towel around it. I heard that
exactly likes to be warm. As well. Always keep your electronics warm.
That's great advice. We did also get a last minute edition from famous Seamus, who again I believe these should be reversed, but I'm going to read it as he wrote it. So buy no rumble since rumble is not necessary to make a game fun. Rent Joy-Con drift since that can be solved using a pro controller. Fair point. And return red ring of death as someone who had 2 Xbox 360s red ringed. This one is personal. Also, it cost Microsoft millions.
He's putting it out on was it Peter Moore, who's the president at the time?
So I think reverse those. Red ring of death is the worst, and he can live. He can live with the no rumble. So there we go. Our 2. Another brand new addition from the Nias family. Buy red ring of death because my Xbox 360 didn't shit out, which is language from Henry.
Of course, Sean's blaming his son.
Sure thing. Henry's been listening to me too much. I apologize. Rent Joy-Con drift because they service it for free, which is absolutely. I sent like 6 Joy-Cons, I think.
6. Holy crap.
Wow. Between my wife and I, it was just, and we had like held them for a little while. So it was like 2 at first, and then it was 4. And then it was just like, let's send 6 of these. But it was all free. They just serviced it, sent it back. It was
6 sets or 6 individual Joy-Cons?
6 individual Joy-Cons.
Okay.
And return no rumble. Rumble adds to the experience of the game. So there we go. So the buy, I think this is correct. I think this is like the buy is the worst one.
The worst.
Maybe. Or no, well, his Xbox 360 didn't shit out.
No. So you're right.
So I think this maybe,
he's thinking again. Like Rumble is the least, it was the worst for him.
Yeah. That's
which is interesting.
So we've got the Joy-Con drift in the middle of all of these. Are any of us going to mix it up? Let's see.
I don't know.
Chris, you want to jump in first?
Yeah, Chris, I don't even know if you own a Switch.
I do. It's just my kids always use it. We did have to return 1 controller once. So we did get the drift. And yeah, I mean, like, if it's I think that's not the worst thing. I would probably, if we're going, so return would be the one that is least likely.
The least offensive.
Least offensive. So I would say the drift is least offensive. I mean, but again, I don't really play the Switch that much. And to the point earlier mentioned, you can use a separate controller and then be good with it too. So like there's an option there. I'm going to go a little controversial and say rent the red ring of death because the 360 was like near and dear to my heart because that was like probably one of the best consoles minus the Dreamcast that I've ever had. And I didn't have that problem. I didn't have the red ring issue. And I had like an earlier console too. And and yeah, like the fact that yes, they Microsoft definitely screwed up, but they were willing to replace the whole system too, which was nice. Like I have to like, and like, but I have to say bye for the Rumble because it just felt like the era that whole PS3 era was like Sony being as arrogant as possible.
You're being fail.
Right? Like it was just like, come on, guys. They just like it was almost like Apple levels of arrogance with some of the excuses that they had. So it was like, no, I'm good. So that's my thoughts.
You're not buying that. You're not buying that. You don't have the 6-axis somewhere in your Hall of Fame controllers.
No, I do not.
I respect those decisions, and I kind of almost want to mirror them, really, because like you said, Joy-Con drift and Red Ring of Death, and I did experience Red Ring of Death at least 2 or 3 times.
Oh wow!
And my brother had at least one on his. Like we had bad luck because at that point it was like we were in like I know I was in university. So we wanted to play separate things. We were online. So we both had an Xbox 360 at one point. So like, yeah, man, like we had some shit luck with that console, but never a problem to have it replaced.
Right.
At all.
That's good. No coffins involved.
No.
Yeah, no worries. I never spent another cent on an Xbox 360 that I didn't have to or want to, like, upgrading, whatever. So like, I can't complain about that almost any more than I can complain about the Joy-Con stuff. So I think I'm going to do the PS3 Rumble as my buy. Like doing that, and the level of, for the same reason as Chris, I think the level of stupidity of trying to say like we're not doing Rumble because it's old technology, and like trying to make that like cloud of like what we're doing is awesome. You should pay more for us taking out features because we're great.
Yep.
Wasn't the PS2 awesome? Get a second job for this piece of shit.
You want a Rumble? If you want Rumble, buy a PS2.
Yeah, right. Like it was that kind of like you said, just straight arrogance.
Yeah.
And at least Microsoft and Nintendo were like, "Oh, we messed up with this stuff. We're going to fix it for free."
Right.
I am going to rent as the second most offensive the Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death. Yeah. Because when that happened, your console was dead. You couldn't play for a little bit until it was sent back. At least with the Switch and the Joy-Con, which I'll return, I have a ton of spare Joy-Cons. Like you just kind of acquire them over time, I guess. Pro controllers. There are different ways to play. Your Switch isn't completely dead. You could be a mostly handheld fan and even go out to like Walmart or something and pick up some extra Joy-Con, wait till they ship them back and go return them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
unless
there are ways around
that's what I would have done too.
Unless it's your Switch Lite, and then you're screwed.
Right.
Here's my system.
Don't buy the Switch Lite, I guess. I don't know. I've never owned a Switch Lite, so I can't complain. I can't say.
I can't either. So we're basically saying, until they come for me, screw y'all. I enjoyed my situation.
No. I'm not saying that. I haven't heard anyone with a Switch Lite that has had Joy-Con problems. Like my brother has one, has never had a problem with his Switch Lite, but he's returned several Joy-Con from his Switch.
Yeah, because
he's a lush and has both.
He's drunk on Switch.
He's crazy. So I don't know. If anyone has a Switch Lite and has experienced Joy-Con drift, let me know. I want to hear those horror stories, and maybe that could kind of skew my reference point.
Imagine you lose your Animal Crossing island when you send in your Switch Lite.
Right? Because that's
your island's been
when
destroyed.
You send in your Joy-Con, they're like, if we don't have the exact same one, or if we can't do it, you might send in a neon green, Splatoon Joy-Con and get a gray back. I haven't had that experience happen, but it is a printed possibility from Nintendo of like, hey, you want to send in your banana controller from Fortnite? Cool. You might get something different back. Like, again, hasn't happened to me. I don't want to send in my banana controller, but I will if I have to. so like sending in your whole Switch Lite, especially if you have a special edition, like one of the Pokemon editions or something like that, with all your saves on it, man, yeah, that would be that would put it at least on the level of an Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death, because your whole system's bricked, your whole thing's shut down. So if that's the case, if someone can convince me that that's a big issue with Switch Lites, yeah, I'm changing but for now I'm keeping that PS3, Xbox, Switch. We'll go in that order.
Classic Xbox.
Go ahead, Todd. What about you then?
Okay, I'm going to do something a little different here, because I've had the mind swell that I think of the scenario. So quite honestly, so if we're doing the era of like least offensive, I'm returning the 6-axis, because that was 1 year and done. They got rid of the problem. It's never to be brought back. I don't even think they would sell you a 6-axis. I don't know if you can find one. They're probably collector's items. And most people didn't buy a PlayStation 3 at launch because it was like $1 billion. So quite honestly, no one even used that thing, because I don't think anybody owned the PlayStation 3 until like 4 years later. So there you go.
Fair.
Yeah.
Being practical here. Xbox 360, the Red Ring of Death. Once again, it was a period of time. They fixed the issue and it's done. They had different revisions. I also did not have a Red Ring of Death. So we're kind of like we're in a good space. We're in a very caring environment. But Dishonored killed my Xbox, where I would try to play Dishonored and it just would stop playing. Wow. It didn't Red Ring. It just, for some reason, like it. That's where I traded it in. So I would say, because they fixed the issue, it cost them $1 billion. They did fix consoles. They sent you a coffin, and it's kind of funny, like a dead child. Very tiny coffin, very, very, very tragic, very sad. It played taps for some reason. I don't know why. It was very, very emotional. And then I'm going to buy the Joy-Cons, because Nintendo has never fixed the damn issue. Yes, they'll repair it, but they'll still sell you the same problem over and over again. Mark, how many Joy-Cons do you have? And that's your response. Well, just buy more.
I've never bought a pair of Joy-Con because some broke. I've bought special
you just have a lot.
Ones.
Yeah, you just have a lot.
That, like, I bought the 2 sets of Splatoon ones. I ordered one set from Japan because I wanted to have both colors. So like the ones you could buy here in a store were like, I forget what it is, like green on the left and pink on the right. And then if you bought the console, the Switch, or the Splatoon edition Switch, it was reversed. But you could buy those separately in Japan. So I can do 2 neon greens, one on each side, or 2 neon purples, or mix them up both ways. So I wanted that. And then I bought the, like I said, I bought the Fortnite ones with like the banana on the side. So like I bought, and then the ones that came with my Switch OLED, the white ones. So I've never specifically gone out to buy Joy-Con because a set broke, but because we now have so many in the house, the chances of them breaking. I also have to say, I changed my mind while I was listening to Chris. I was going in with the Joy-Con as the number one, or possibly Xbox as the number one. So yeah, you definitely like brought up some good points, and I was listening to that, and you kind of like shifted but I couldn't be shifted again, Todd. So continue your anger, my friend.
Let's just put it this way: if Switch 2 TOO, as I'm calling it, I've dubbed it, comes out, I want those Joy-Cons to be thrown in an ocean, like where the Atari 2600 ET cartridges are. I never want to see those Joy-Cons again. I know people have a lot of them. Well, keep your old damn Switch. Keep it away from me. Toss them in a bin.
Do you think they'll allow you to use your current Joy-Cons? That'd be interesting.
I've heard they're going to work wirelessly because of those weird the suction magnets they're going to bring in for the Switch 2 won't plug on, but they'll be able to be used like the old Wiimotes on the Wii U. So it's once again, let's bring in old technology that,
you could do stuff like ARMS or
it's an extra controller maybe to play the worst way of playing Mario Kart, Mark.
Easily.
People are seriously going to miss that. Come on. Oh well.
I don't think
That
anybody's
is
playing with a single Joy-Con controller.
Nobody
If
does.
you're listening and you do, let me know. It's like good in a emergency situation, but that's
I
it.
have a health professional you can reach out to. Mental health is
I've done
very
it
important.
in like an airplane like waiting room, like at the airport, where you're like, let's set up one switch and hand off a Joy-Con because their flight got delayed.
The way God intended, on a 7-inch screen with two big adults 3 feet away.
It's exactly the best.
Smash players where they're 2 centimeters tall. I can tell what's going on. Oh well. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed this ride. You can send your hate letters to me, but there we go. And you can tell us all about your woes with your Joy-Cons. And if you got a 6-axis, let us know. I'll buy it from you for like $2.
Oh, okay.
I'll plate it in gold. There we go. So, gentlemen, what have you been gaming?
Oh,
Chris.
should I go first?
Chris.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I've been deep underwater with Harold Halibut. It's a Game Pass game that came out fairly recently. It's such a unique art style to it. It's kind of like a claymation look to it, stop motion animation. And I had watched Dave Jackson over at Tales from the Backlog play it way back when Steam was doing like their like demo week or whatnot. And I was like, this looks so weird. It's so like unique looking. And it's like, it's essentially like a new age point and click adventure game. And I've been like, the characters are great. The writing has been great too. There's been a lot of vocabulary words that I've learned from playing this game. and yeah, so I've been having a good time with that. Return to Grace, super short game, also on Game Pass, 2 hours long. And actually, Larry from World 1 actually interviewed the developers recently.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And super short game. It is like, it's just like it's about this, this woman who goes to this planet to try to reinvigorate or revive this AI that used to help humanity. And so it's like kind of going through that whole story, and it's cool. It's again another game, great writing, and then finally I kind of hopped back.
I was going to ask you really quick.
Yeah.
I looked at that Return to Grace and I was just looking on the Steam page.
Yeah,
it kind of gives me Myst vibes.
In a way, it's not a very difficult game. That's why it's like there's like a couple of parts where you're just like, okay, it's kind of challenging. Like some of the puzzles are kind of challenging, but it's not very like literally you could be done in 2 hours.
Wow.
And the other cool part about it is there are multiple endings in this game too.
Oh, that's cool.
So based on your choices,
only 2 hours.
It's only 2 hours, and they crammed that all in 2 hours. So I was very impressed. And finally, V Rising, it finally went to 1.0. Started playing that a little bit again. It is a vampire survival action RPG, I guess. I don't like the survival parts, the crafting and all that stuff, but the combat in it is really fun. The whole vampire mechanic overall is really good. It's really well done.
Cool.
So, and they finally added controller support. So I was super happy about that too.
Oh, it didn't have it?
It didn't have it initially.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That V Rising game, it kind of reminds me what a Legacy of Kain, the first game, could have been, or could be if they rebought it back. Because it reminds me of that, like, Kain was this vampire badass. He was going things.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but you know what? You need a house and you need to do these things. And it's like, but I've heard there's co-op, so you could have someone actually take care of that meal. Almost like you could have a, you
could have clans, essentially clans.
What's Dracula's like, human called? Renfield?
Renfield, yes, that's right.
You can get a Renfield to do all the bad work for you.
And actually, you can get Renfields in the game too, just so you know.
Oh, nice.
So it's like they really thought about the whole vampire lore in this. So it is really cool. But yeah, that's what I've been playing recently. So
that's awesome.
So I'm going to ask you both about this because it seems like a lot of the games today it's like, well, it's just not enough to be an action RPG. We have to add romance. We have to add cozy elements. We have to add survival, roguelike, souls-like, or something. Are you a huge fan of that? Because it sounds like, Chris, you're like, I don't like this part of the game. I'm like, well, does that mean you're going to keep with it, or you're going to bounce? So that's what I worry about, that, if they add that element. Or do you like, I love it because it's like, oh, it's more to do and more to spend your time on?
If I'm playing a game like this, I have to make sure other people are playing it that I know, and then that they really enjoy doing the building part of it. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go. If you want me to go pick up stuff, like go gather stuff, I'll do that. But I don't have the mind to build, structures and stuff like that. And I get really frustrated when I see someone else's castle look like gorgeous, and then I have this like little shack in the corner over there. So yeah.
Wait, a house doesn't have 3 walls?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I think about it. But.
This is supposed to have a roof.
What?
Terrible. Yeah, for me, it depends on the game completely and the mechanic. If I don't notice it, then it's great, because you have to mix things up. If it's only an action game or only a platforming game, there's only so much you can do with those. But occasionally you'll get a mashup that really works, that you enjoy both pieces of, or they fit together seamlessly, or you kind of don't really notice it. It's when one piece feels tacked on or annoying or something. And I've noticed this. I've been replaying the Pokemon games, going through, and I started Ultra Moon recently. And I won't talk about this in the what you've been playing thing, so I'll skip it over. But in that game, there are certain things like, and in a lot of Pokemon games, they always add these things of like, even in like Scarlet and Violet, there's, you can do picnicking, and you can do this, and you can do that. And it's, a lot of times, I'm sure for competitive players, there are reasons to do those kind of things, or for players that the main becoming the best overall, becoming the Pokemon champion or whatever, is not why they play the game. They want to do something cute. They want to take pictures with their Pokemon. They want to do this, to do that. For all of those things, learning those mechanics is just like, that's cool. I'm never going to do this again. Like, give me a powerful team and let me golden path my way through the Elite Four. Cool, let's do that. I don't want to go on a picnic. Like, that is not why I want to play Pokemon. Like, I'll play Pokemon Snap all day long. But like, I don't know, in my mainline Pokemon games, I want to battle. I want to collect them. I want to evolve them. I want to power them up. And like, slowing down to take a picnic or like a beauty contest or something like that is like, that is not what it is for me. So it's those kind of things where it's just, sometimes they tack it on and it's like, man, you could have focused on making this game like run better or a little bit better if you didn't add like the Pokemon beauty pageant animations or something like that. Like, so that, like it's those kind of things that drive me crazy. Or just like make me notice it. But I love when it's done right and you get this weird mashup of like, oh man, those two things shouldn't have worked together. Or I don't usually like card mechanics or something like that, but like this game pulled it off because I was really drawn into the platforming. I love that kind of surprise. But Chris, like, you saying that, it's just, it's so funny because it's like, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, I love this part of the game. What about the other part? We don't talk about the other part. Like, that's yeah. I just watched The Lion King with my son. It's like, tell me about the dark part over there. We don't talk about the dark part. Like,
yeah. Do you just want to rewatch the part where, the dad dies? Sure. Let's just focus on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like nightmares, kids? Yeah. It reminds me of 3D Mario. Was it 3D Mario where they added the Captain Toad levels?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, get those out of my game. It breaks all of my momentum. I'm like, why am I doing this? Thank God they gave him his own game so he can stay out of my Mario games. Stay over there, Toad. Hate that. The game I liked, and I'm normally not a guy who likes like, oh, geez, don't make me do that. It's annoying. Mass Effect 3, surprisingly, when they added the kind of almost mandatory multiplayer. And which was crazy because they didn't have that in the other games, but it did make it fun, and they made that part fun, which I really liked because you had to like save the universe, you have to like get territory and stuff like that. I'm like, that's cool. And the other part was relationships. I thought that was cool because it was a romantic pierce. You have those missions to build relationships with your crew, and then you can choose who to be romantic with. Sometimes it's kind of annoying what you have to do. It's like, okay, now I'm just being a little pushy. This would not be, this would not go in modern times dating. Like, why are you following me, you creep? And yeah, but Jack loved me. You can't tell me she didn't. Jack loved me. But yeah, there's examples where it's kind of crazy, and other examples like people are big into like Fire Emblem, and I'm like hearing about the most recent, like we have tea parties and we go to class, but then we go out in battles and we kill each other and somebody dies. I'm like, okay. Sure. Why not? Okay. Well, thank you for your input, folks. Let us know, though, if you're interested in like these mashups, because it seems like that's becoming a bigger and bigger things these days. So, but you just love your thoughts on it. Maybe we're olds. Maybe we just aren't ready for these like synergistic games, but let us know. And maybe Mark will get his only standalone Pokemon beauty contest game, which he'll probably love because that's what he's fully into. It becomes like a pageant mom with his Pokemon.
Yeah. 100%. You give me a Nidoran that, wears some nice bows on his spikes, I'm in. But if that's what the game is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want...
don't distract Mark from his killing. He needs to focus on one thing.
Yeah. I want my 10-year-old with a group full of monsters to just kill everything in its path and, dominate the world and defeat a criminal organization by himself after his mom says, get out of the house, you're 10. Here's some deadly monsters with fire and poison powers. It's time for you to leave. So that's how I want my Pokemon games.
But then you have to be able to import those into the Pokemon prom game or pageant game. If you can't, game over.
I need that Pokemon Home synergy for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very good. Okay, Mark, since you haven't been playing Pokemon Pageant, what have you been playing?
So I have been playing, as usual, whatever Finn tells me to play. And lately that has been either Smash Brothers or his new obsession. I don't know what kid at daycare talked about creepers, but I'm going to just... I read a strongly worded letter home to that parent. Anyway, it has brought up, Finn talked about creepers. I've seen some creeper like backpacks and things, and Finn was asking about creepers. So we talked about Minecraft, and he watched me play a bit of survival mode and has had the funniest reactions ever and has told the creepers that he's proud of them. Every time that they blow me up or kill me. I'm very proud of you, creepers, for doing that. And I'm just like, why? Why is that a thing that you're saying to the creepers? He's like, well, I'm just proud of them. They're doing their job. I'm like, their job is to kill me. He's like, yeah, but you come back. It's okay. All right. Okay. That's a weird thing for an almost 4-year-old to say. So I, and he'll mine. He was digging and stuff, and I built a little home in survival mode. But the real kicker was the last couple of days we've been just playing like creative or whatever, the free run mode in that one, and just like going about. I turned the enemies on, but also just turned on like unlimited whatever the hell we want. So like I armored him up. We were playing 2-player. Just like gave him like the best sword and armor in the game, which just like go free, you crazy little goblin. And he's just been going through just wrecking house. It's been amazing. And so you know what? Exactly what you're saying with that vampire game. He's been going off killing all the monsters. I'm building a lakeside cottage. It's fantastic. There's windows everywhere, tons of natural light. It's amazing. Nice hardwood floors, brick sides, big pink double doors, directly over a lake. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. As soon as I could get the sea turtles to stop crawling through my living room, It literally came around. And
you don't have rats in Canada, you just got sea turtles.
And Finn just loves, he figured out how to fly because you can do that in the creative mode.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally just comes in like Superman with his bow and arrow and glowing armor and just like shoots stuff that's like trying to blow up my house. And he'll be like halfway across the map. And I'm just like, Finn, there's some like water zombies coming at my house. And he's like, I'll be right there. And he flies in. Like, he did the superhero landing today in the middle of my house and like comes out with a bow and arrow and just starts like wailing on things that are kind of like coming around. It was the funniest thing. And he loved it. So that's our new thing.
You need a new roof.
Creative. Yeah. Well, I haven't finised the roof. I'm still working.
Oh, good. There you go. See?
Yeah. So he just came. Yeah. He would have come crashing down through the roof, but it was just an amazing, straight through. Just, I'm building up some walls and stuff. And he just comes, boom, lands behind me. He also thinks it's hilarious when he undoes everything that I've done. So he will come by and just wreck a section of flooring and just laugh his little butthole off. And it's great. It's great. He loves the destruction. He loves the construction. He loves the action, the adventure. So Minecraft's a big thing. We're learning about like all the, the both sides of it, the survival mode. We tamed a wolf, got some wolf armor going. It's been great, man. It's been really good. So he's
is that the Super Mario one that has the Super Mario content?
So I have it on both. Obviously, I do have it on Switch, and obviously it's included in Game Pass. So we've been actually playing on both because I couldn't figure out the multiplayer on Switch. For some reason, it wasn't working for me. It said to turn off the Mario skin, so I turned off.
Did you check your Joy-Cons?
Yeah. Play with 2 Pro controllers. I don't know what to say, man. It said turn off this thing. Make sure you have a Nintendo Switch Online account if you're playing online. I was like, it's just 2 of us. We're on the same couch. Let me do this. And it was like, you have to turn this toggle on, and it wouldn't let me turn the toggle on. So I was like,
did you share? Did you get Finn's friend's code?
Yeah, on the same Switch couch co-op. Definitely need a friend code for that.
Exactly.
Nintendo knows exactly what to do. So if someone that's better at Minecraft can explain how to do that on Switch, go nuts. But no, the 2-player stuff we've been playing all of that on Xbox. And I do have 2 different survival modes. One is Finn World with a space in between. The other was Finn World. So that's the 2 survival modes. And then the creative mode is just called Finland. Finland. So I'm very creative with my names.
Like that.
Yeah. So that's it, man. We've been playing a ton of Minecraft. He still loves the creepers. He cheered on Enderman when I went after him. And he teleported away because I was coming and I was getting real close to just ending Enderman. But he's been having a great time with that, man. And I want him to try to build up some stuff because I want those creative kind of bits too, not just the watching zombies kill dad. So it's fun. And he got a big kick out of the next game. The last game I've been playing is Little Kitty Big City. This one's on. I know it's on Switch and it's on Game Pass. Mm-hmm. I'm going to assume it's on PlayStation as well.
I'm not sure.
This is just, it's like a cat simulator so far. It starts off super cute kind of opening kind of thing. Explains the story well enough. And then you just kind of go and you just cause shenanigans as a cat. I'm very early on, but so far I've very much enjoyed just knocking plants over and breaking things. It's not on PlayStation. Todd just checked. Thanks for checking.
Is this kind of like Goose Game, the Untitled Goose Game kind of thing, or
similar kind of vibes? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can kind of like trip people. Some people love you. There's a painter that had some paints and he's just kind of staring at his canvas and you knock the paints over and then step through everything. And he's just like, yeah, that's great. And then there's other people
cats.
that you like, that's a masterpiece. And then there's other people that you trip and they're like, I hate you. So it's very entertaining. Yeah. I stole someone's sandal. Or like a slipper or whatever. Let's just like stole that, took it up the road. Knocked over every single pot that I have seen so far. It's fantastic. I got an achievement for breaking so many pots. It's just good. It seems like it's going to be just dumb fun. You can make the cat meow anytime you want to, make it run. You get a little butt wiggle when you go underneath a fence and stuff. Like, it's very well animated. It's very, very cute. It's good. So I can't wait to play more of that game. And again, Finn really enjoyed watching me play. He was cheering on the cat and the crows and everything else. So if I can play a game that's entertaining for me and makes him laugh, win-win. And that's been the last couple of weeks of gaming for me.
Nice.
Mark, you may be getting a kitty out of this.
Yeah.
That is also a distinct possibility. I'm hoping the digital kitty takes place of like desire for a real kitty. Be like, we should get a cat. Be like, no, we have a cat right here. It's on the Xbox.
Yeah,
exactly. Keep them away from those Nintendogs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's enough for now. Yeah. What about you, Todd? What you been playing?
God, I've been like the person that's just like scanning things to find out what I really want to play, and it's been frustrating, but it's good because it kind of feels like I'm trying to see what else is out there versus the zeitgeist. So I've been playing a lot of games from GameFly for the old gamers like myself. Outcast 2 was a game I wanted to try because Outcast has a long history, basically coming out in like the late 90s. Voxels, this guy was kind of like a human that landed on this planet, and it's kind of crazy, looked cool. Not a great game though, and I even tried like the remaster, modern times, not good. But this is a true sequel, looks great, fully voiced. It's like a B tier game where you definitely can find the fun. Kind of reminds me of like that Evil West game I played where it's really good. But this is like the discount Mass Effect / I'm trying to think of another game where you're basically a human on this planet. The humans are actually the enemies, but the people that are native don't know that because they're all wearing like suits, like the bad guys. And this guy essentially has been brought back from the death. He's dead. He's supposed to be kind of like the savior from the people that he can do these things, and he can talk to their gods, which they call yods, which is just like, okay, that's just dumb. You change one letter, don't call them yods, call them something else. The hires or something like that. It's so dumb when they say it too. The voice acting is really bad. It's just, there's a lot of it too, but they're very excited about this dialogue and the things they're talking about. So I'll give them credit for like going full on in. The mechanics though are kind of fun. You get like a jetpack and you can go vertical and go that, and you can update it, and you can basically do it so you glide through this level. So traversal is very fun. I really like it. The combat's very fun.
Is it like Anthem?
It kind of reminds me of like Mass Effect plus Anthem, but if it was done by like, I'm trying to think of a studio, Namco Bandai, maybe like a Team Ninja.
Okay.
So it's like somebody that has cool mechanics, but bad like storytelling, voice acting, makes no sense. And like a lot of extra stuff that doesn't make sense, a lot of fetch quests. This game is for somebody. I liked it, but I kind of felt like I kept on getting bogged down into things I didn't really want to be doing. I'm talking to too many people. I'm given too many things. And like, even they have a really cool like glossary button, which I think is funny. Hit R2, it tells you what these things mean because they are literally giving you tons of phrases and things and names. And it's like, holy crap. What am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, I'm trying to get back to my own place, but I got to do this. And like one of my levels, I have to, and then you have to get the trust of every village. And it's very much like, almost like Avatar in a lot of ways too, where it's like very, the people are in tune with nature, but you have to get like fruit, but it's way up in the clouds. You get it and you get one. You're like, no, I need 20 more of those. I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. I don't like your busy work. I'm not like a gig worker to get you fruit. So I think there's something there. I just felt like they felt like we've got to put a lot of content in this, and the content is kind of filler. So, but I do like what they bring forward. When I'm actually doing the cool stuff, I actually enjoy it. It's just, I feel like there's just not enough cool stuff to actually keep me engaged. So, but why not? If it's free, I feel like this is the perfect game for like a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus. And I hope it comes there because I don't think it's worth $70. Which then led me to Sandland, which I've talked about this game before, not on this podcast, but this game is a lot of fun. But once again, it's a big game, lots of things to do. And I really wanted a more core experience, but this is a game from Akira Toriyama who made Dragon Ball Z. He's made a lot of other things. He does art for Dragon Quest. Yeah. So, and he just passed away. And this is a new anime series, which I think is on Prime or Netflix. Chris, you may have even heard me talk about this on a certain podcast with Luke Lore. So I won't go into details except the fact is this is a cool game. It's an action adventure game where you're basically demons. You live in this world called Sandland. There's a drought and the humans are there with the demons and they're trying to coexist. And essentially as the son of the demon king, you have to partner with this human sheriff to find a new source of water. And they introduce tank combat to take on like the evil government, but it's cartoonish, it's goofy, but it's very fun. And it's got a lot of levity to it. I really like it. And it looks exactly like the anime. It's fun. So I think there's something there too. But once again, I just feel like I'm on a lot of fetch quests, a lot of things where I feel like this is a filler game. Perfect for somebody who has a lot more time, but not for me. But it is a game I think a lot of people will enjoy, especially anime fans. But it's fully voiced and it looks great and it controls pretty well. So I like the game, but just not for me to stick with it for like 40 hours. A game that won't require 40 hours, but is fun, is also available on at least Game Pass for all I know, but I think it's on other services that you pay for, which is Another Crab's Treasure, which is a super cute, cartoonish, lots of puns, Souls-like action combat. You die a lot, you get your gear, you go in, but and it's fun because it uses like puns aplenty, like a land shark, which is basically like, have you ever seen that like those little hand puppets or the puppets on a stick and you this and it talks? It's one of those, but it's a shark and it's basically a loan shark and he takes your shell and you want your money back. So that's where you start. You end up being a very defenseless little crab, and you eventually get a fork that you find in the sea, and you can defend yourself. But there's a lot of like sea crap in the sea too, like bottles and just like junk. There's cigarette butts everywhere. It's like a little mermaid after a bender. Yeah. Is probably the best way to put it. Under the sea, her thingamabob, as she would say, has been littered. But basically, that's your mission, and it's very much follow the path though, because if you don't follow the path, you're going to find like the Souls like boss from hell who you are not ready to take care of, and he's like full on evil, but he's kind of goofy and funny looking too. So but it's so bright and cheery, it's fun, but I'm not one of these guys that loves these type of games. And there is a easy mode though, Mark, where you pull out a gun and you just start killing things. So you can do that if you want. Yep. So I like that.
Basically
they involve
crabs in real life then.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Because, we've had like a crabassance with all these games. There's that crab fight game. Yep. There's a bunch of these games under the sea where the crabs are really just the coolest cats under the sea. So if you're interested, check it on Game Pass. You probably have it. I did. My son went hell's deep into it because he loves those action combat games with parry and roll. So he's all into it. But
eventually everything will be crabs. It's carcinization.
I think so. Right? Well, we had crab people on South Park, right? Crab people, right? Remember they were masquerading as humans on South Park.
Yep.
Crystal's like, what is Todd talking about?
It's been so long since I watched a South Park episode. I'm like,
have you guys ever seen?
It's an old one. It's the old ones.
Yeah.
Like that evolutionary theory, though, like the carcinization. I think it's like everything. Like crabs have evolved independently in across like multiple species. Crabs have evolved several times. Like everything eventually kind of becomes a crab. It's really weird. Look it up. It's a weird rabbit hole to go down.
Kind of like cockroaches will be the only thing living on the land. Crabs will be the only thing living in the sea.
Yeah.
And then they'll form and they'll make crab roaches, and the world will become a better place.
Yeah.
So make sure you tell Finn that at night. Son, when the crab people and the roaches come together, make sure you respect them.
Obviously, yeah.
Chris,
what kind of bedtime tales did you tell your kid?
Exactly, Chris. Make sure you prepare your kids.
I'm trying to like, because it's summer or it's turning to summer, so like bugs are coming in more often and all that stuff. We have to deal with that, and like I have to go and kill them all the time. I'm like, no, I'm done doing that. It's your turn. I need you to deal with this now, and they won't deal. It's like, but I will admit,
so afraid of bees.
This
Holy
past
crap.
week, they've been better. They've been trying to take care of themselves. So I'm like,
good,
cool,
excellent.
Good. So,
but have you given them weapons? Because I think that might be key. You're sending the kids out into the world to fight animals, but you haven't given them a Pokemon to
this
battle
is a
with.
Spartan life, all right? They had to figure it out. They had to like just
see. I go full video game. I'm like, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this, or something. You gotta give your kids. You gotta prepare them. Get some weapons in here. One of those little
just get one
blasters.
of those. One of those vacuum cleaners, the vacuums that suck up the bugs.
Or
apparently, you just need it.
Rackets that electrocute.
Oh yeah,
things.
we have that, but I don't want to give it to them because then they would be beating each other with it. So that's
or
you just
from what I've seen,
life.
Exactly. I mean, you're right. I'm trying to like Spartan life with guardrails. You're right. But it is Spartan.
All right.
Well, the other video I saw that people are taking like jars of gasoline and putting it under hornet's nests. So your kids are small; they can probably climb up the ladder really well. And apparently, the nest just comes off and it kills them all. So pro tips, kids. Hey, your parents can't kill bugs for you ever. Get your bottles of gasoline, your assault rifles,
siphon it out of your gas can.
Exactly.
You're fine.
You know what? Do your part. Pull your own weight, kids. Yeah. So, moving on to my last game, which is a game that's actually coming to Game Pass, I believe this month, which is Immortals of Aveum. I bought it for like super cheap for like $8. It's an EA Partners game. I think it's because it's on EA Play that it's coming to Game Pass now because it's been like 6 months. This game looks beautiful. This is essentially a futuristic world. These people are kind of basically underserved masses, and they have magic class, but they're basically drafted into the military. And quite honestly, I haven't gotten very far into it, but I really love the engine is using Unreal Engine 5. It's a beautiful game. It's definitely into that mode I love, and I think this is a game I'm going to really glom onto because it really feels like a condensed, focused adventure with really cool power types. And it's first person, and the game is beautiful, and I do like the combat, and I like the story it's telling. It's got
a lot of famous actors, right?
Exactly, a lot of famous voices. I can't remember her name from Firefly.
Yes, Gina
Torres.
Gina Torres, yes.
Yep, she's in it. There's a bunch of other names too, and I think this game is a showcase of the modern gen technology, which is kind of sad because this game just got launched when everything else was launching last year, so it's kind of forgotten. I'm glad I bought the deluxe edition for $8, so I get all the extra stuff. Yeah. But I'm really digging it. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It just kind of feels like this is what this gen should look like, but we're still hemmed in by the old tech, the cross-gen games. So Immortals of Aveum, check it out. I think you might like it, but it's going to be one of those. It's basically using like a special ability with magic in one hand, and then basically a melee or another magic skill in the other. So kind of like a Skyrim or almost like a BioShock feel, but you're in this cool world. It's very immersive and really high values. They spent a lot of money on the game. So cool. Check it out.
And then the studio closed down, right? Did the studio close down? I know.
Well, they drained the studio of talent. So maybe not completely closed, but yeah, pretty much. It is a shame. Well, that's what I've been playing. So you know what? We're ready to do less important things now, which one involves an ad. So please listen. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencaster. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencaster is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencaster because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencaster has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencaster? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencaster's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. Now it's time for the news. So we've had a lot of crazy news happen. A lot of it has not been very positive. And because we're Xbox centric this week, and because Chris covers Xbox quite a bit on with Game Pass, and Mark has an Xbox system, I do as well, we thought we'd touch on this. So the big news this week, or the previous week, was Xbox announced that it is closing 2 of its largest studios from Bethesda. It's also closing one of its mobile studios, Alpha Dog, and then it is also taking one of its mobile studios, Roundhouse Games, and it's going to be converting that to ZeniMax Online Studios. Arcane Austin is closing. Games you may know of them are Prey, and then the most recent was Redfall. They also worked on Dishonored. Tango Gameworks is the other studio that's fully closing. They worked on Ghostwire Tokyo that just came out on Xbox. It was a PlayStation exclusive. And they just published Hi-Fi Rush, which was was in the category for Game of the Year awards, and was just put out on PlayStation consoles as well. This comes amid, obviously Xbox is now a different type of studio. It has acquired all of ABK Studios, and it acquired the Bethesda Studios in 2021 as part of a $7 billion deal. So with that, part of the rationale was they needed to take resources and focus on their biggest IP, specifically at Bethesda, which is going to be your Elder Scrolls, Fallout games, Doom, and Skyrim and Starfield. So those type of the games we're talking about primarily. And then the other part was they wanted to also focus on games that are smaller and award worthy. So that is the kind of the lay of the land now with Xbox, where they had, I think it was at one time they had, after all these studios, they were going to have close to 36 studios. So now this brings that number down a little bit lower, like by 4. So with that, Chris, since you use a lot of the Game Pass, a lot of those games that are coming to Game Pass were coming from the studios. What's your take on all this?
Well, Hi-Fi Rush was definitely one of my games of the year in 2023. So it was definitely a shock to see that, I guess in a way, Microsoft just kind of, or Xbox kind of did like literally shadow drop this during a, one of their developer directs and stuff like that. And then, I was blown away by it, and it was like, 2020, like it started off 2023 with a bang, and I thought it was great. And So yeah, it's unfortunate to see the studio get shuttered, and especially when they just started to try and make it multi-platform. Like it's kind of an odd thing to do, but look, at the end of the day, I think Todd, you and I kind of talked about this offline a little bit. It just there had to be something else in the background that had to happen. Like I feel like it's almost like a logistical thing. They're literally the only studio that they manage in Japan, if I'm correct. So
Yes.
it's like, are they just kind of circling the wagons here, and they're just being like, let's focus on the stuff that's in North America, Europe, and just try to just like double down on that. I know that Xbox been trying so hard to make make some sort of leeway into the Japan market, but I don't think it's happening. It's just not. And I think they're just like, you know what, let's focus here and let's keep moving. I really do wish that they did something like what they did for Toys for Bob, where they allowed them to become independent or not. But maybe it's the possibility that they just didn't have the infrastructure to manage going independent or whatnot. I don't know. So it's unfortunate, and it's part of it. Like, and there might be some redundancy. Who knows? Like, I really do want. This is obviously very crappy that this happened. Obviously, you hate to see people lose their jobs, especially this gives, and like people have talked about this ad nauseum on Twitter and all social media platforms about like how the optics look about this, right? Like you make a great game and you're getting shut down. So like, who wants to be a part of the Xbox family or whatever you want to call it, right? Because they just look at that as not being successful or whatever. It's a numbers game for them. And they're a big company. There's a reason why they're a big company, right? They have to make these tough decisions. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this short-term pain will really allow them to grow and allow even just the Activision studios have been like constantly just only working on Call of Duty to do like really cool little game, like the shorter games that we're talking about too. Like I want those shorter, cooler experiences like that too, and not just Call of Duty season 45. I don't care about that. I don't. No offense to anyone that likes those games, but it's like, there's a lot of talented studios there that can do some really cool stuff. So I'm trying to think of the positive here. So we'll see.
What's your take?
Pretty much the same. That's exactly. We've talked about some different shutdowns over the past few years that it's always the same kind of thing. It always sucks when people lose their jobs and studios get shuttered. And there's always some talent in any studio, but especially when it's a studio that popped out a fantastic game like this.
Yeah.
And then you have Microsoft saying like, we want to focus on smaller games and games that'll win us an award. And it's like, they just did this. This was up for awards. What are you talking about? Like, I think the logistics or the marketing or messaging or whatever from that, like, this is a drop. This is a fumble on Microsoft's part, not only for the like shutting down the studios. And like Chris said, there's got to be some reasoning behind it. They're a big company. You think with all these acquisitions, anyone who saw Microsoft doing all these acquisitions the last few years, if you thought these were all going to happen and no studio was going to get shut down, no person was going to leave their job, like you have not seen many corporate acquisitions and that kind of,
Yeah.
Like there's always those redundancies. There's always those things that it's like, okay, well, we don't need 16 people having the exact same job that can be done by 8. It sucks, but we have to let some people go. And that always sucks. It does. But like, again, there's these corporations, like that's what they do. Like you have to kind of almost expect it. You don't want it, but you expect it. But the messaging part of thing, it's like, guys, come on.
Yeah. It's just like, it sucks because they like, you feel like they did good in terms of, make like kind of shining a positive light on Xbox, but then on the flip side, like this is going to be 343 has not been doing very well. Why have they not been shut down, or why have they not been reduced, or whatever the case may be? You know,
right?
There are a lot of other studios that just haven't been hitting the mark, and like it's that total, like, I don't know. It just seemed very strange. But but again, these are all Bethesda studios, so that's why I'm like, is there something where it's like Bethesda, like, do they fuzzy the numbers a bit before the acquisition and be like, oh, hey, you know, by the way, we're actually in the red this much more, and it's like, oh god, so we had to like force their hand kind of thing.
There's always those internal kind of conversations and things that happen, like you said, like some botched numbers or this or that or whatever. Or it's just like they just straight up just weren't selling the games. Like there were certain things that made money and the rest of it was a loss. Like there could be all of those kind of things that come into play, and it sucks no matter what. But like hopefully in a few years we will see a streamlined Microsoft that is releasing some like award-winning bangers that, like, you know, have that same kind of pedigree. Because I'm an Xbox fan, but like admittedly their games are nowhere near that same kind of pedigree of anything that Sony's putting out. You know, we don't have like a Spider-Man, a God of War, like these big, massive games with like impactful, heartfelt, deep stories that like grip you in. Like we've gotten a shitty Halo game, and like comparatively, you know what I mean? Like everyone was kind of expecting like the God of War remake version of like Master Chief's story to like really hit and just be like even Breath of the Wild style of like, let's do that, but with Halo. And it just kind of like, I just watched Iron Man 2 recently, and it was, you know, like the ex-wife or whatever, like you think this is the most badass missile ever made. It's going to reduce everything. And it just kind of like farts in the water. And it's like, shit, man, that is so much of what Xbox has been popping out this generation.
Although I will say Obsidian though, they've been popping out just nice little hits. Like they're like jabs, but they're not knockouts. They're not like
there's definitely some exceptions. Don't get me wrong, but like, you know, I think Microsoft has a lot to figure out, and maybe these are steps. I'm hoping in a good direction. It sucks right now, but hopefully the end will be a more streamlined Microsoft that has their like you said, it could even be a logistics. Like someone needs to be overseeing these studios and keep them on track. And if something's like at the opposite end of the spectrum or the world or whatever, or just doesn't jive with like how they manage things, like this could be any number of things. And all the reasoning sucks for anybody that's affected, but like, you know, hopefully some good will come. Maybe, I don't know, but right now it just sucks. Yeah, and the messaging is so off.
It's so bad.
It's a fumble.
So bad.
Yeah. I think part of this is Xbox as a part of Microsoft's portfolio of companies. You think of like they own LinkedIn, they own servers, they own Office, they own Windows and things like that. Xbox has been essentially just the smallest little guy on the side, and he maybe contributes a little bit of profit and adds a little bit of character and presence that is not, you know, PowerPoint. Perfect, but and the reason why Bethesda hasn't been a big deal because it was $7 billion. Not a big deal for Microsoft. They are $3 trillion. You add in $69 billion from ABK. Satya Nadella, their CEO, now expects Xbox to be a bigger part of Microsoft as a whole. And the scrutiny's there because they have to now show, well, your business isn't very healthy, because if we didn't bring in ABK last year, your business would have been down. But with ABK, we're up. So what are you going to do to make your business more profitable? Unfortunately, one of the first things they can do is reduce people. That adds more profit because basically you're spending less money. Also, it's been 3 years since Bethesda was purchased. A lot of the people at Bethesda have scooted out. A lot of leadership is gone. The leader of Tango is gone. So 3 years later, now they can start making some of these moves. And the way I'm feeling it, some of the things they talk about, smaller games that make awards. Well, we had one studio that do that, is now gone. And then I heard another, studios, basically another head, I think it was Matt Booty, who's head of like the games area of Xbox, basically said, we need to put resources against our biggest, most impactful IPs. If you're at Bethesda, that's going to be Fallout, Skyrim, and it's going to be those games, especially after Fallout was the biggest thing on Prime. And the best thing they can offer is a 6-year-old Fallout 4 and maybe a Fallout 76, which is, it's in a better space, but it's not the game they would want. It's not like a remastered Last of Us 2, which is brand new and you can follow the show. So a lot of this is kind of telling to say they want to be, and this is where I'm worried, that I think there's going to be more ABK influence on Microsoft than there is anything else, which means we need to put more resources against our big studios like ABK did with Call of Duty. How many of those studios at ABK went to be support studios for Call of Duty? And that's not a good thing for the industry, because ABK went from doing a lot of stuff to Call of Duty, maybe Guitar Hero until that died. Maybe we try something like a Sekiro, and that's about it. And then maybe Toys for Bob could make a Spyro or a Crash game, and then Toys for Bob's out. So that's the worry I have, that they realize the model they've been doing with less oversight, do your own, keep your own culture, obviously hasn't performed, as we've talked about this. Studios are not meeting dates. Games are taking forever. I mean, can we wait another 9 years for another Halo? Can we wait another, this many years for this game? State of Decay 3 was announced like 4 years ago. Nobody knows when that game's coming out. It hasn't been seen. And the only games that are really thriving are the Forza Horizon series games and COD. The rest is kind of like, yeah, it's good. Maybe we'll get a Gears game every 7 years too. So I think a lot of this is writing on the wall. They want Xbox to be a more efficient game studio and profit generator, which is not great for the games we've been getting, especially Obsidian, which we talked about Obsidian. They're their most, I would say, reliable studio at this point.
100%.
But I don't know if we'll get another Pentiment. I don't know if we'll get another, we're going to get Outer Worlds coming through. So I don't know if we're going to see a lot of these little experiments. And I worry for a studio like Hellblade, Ninja Theory, that since they've been under Xbox, they put up Bleeding Edge, which was a fart in the wind, didn't exist. They've worked 6 years on Hellblade 2, and it's launching in less than a week now.
Yeah.
And there's zero advertising for it.
Yeah.
And they say it's a smaller game and everything like that. But I've got to imagine they put more resources and money in the Hi-Fi Rush than that game. And that's not going to grow Game Pass. They're not going to even sell physical copies. So if you don't own an Xbox or a PC, how are you getting that game if you go to retail? So I do worry that unless you're like the biggest thing in the world at Xbox, they may not contribute to that marketplace. So I'm really curious to see where this all goes, but it's not good news. Xbox has a history of killing a lot of studios, erroneously, not under this leadership, but I do worry about Phil and his team, especially as when Sarah Bond was being interviewed by Bloomberg. I don't know if you saw the interview.
Yeah.
But essentially, she's been promoted. She is now the head of Xbox for their platforms and hardware. And didn't even address the fact when they asked her point blank, what about all these studio closures? And she talked about studio culture and all those things. And I'm like, well, if you're talking about studio culture, what is your rationale for killing those studios? She didn't answer the question. Yeah. And people are saying, well, she's not used to something like, yeah, she's used to talking to the fans that are happy and she's telling them all these things about great things. When you're talking to investors and you're talking about that environment and you can't answer that question, that doesn't build a lot of influence. So I worry about this Xbox leadership team, that they may not be long, because Phil's been around for 10 years. And if you haven't changed your position in the marketplace in 10 years, I mean, most CEOs and leaders don't last that long. I work for a big corporate company, and we change CEOs probably every 5 to 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And business heads don't last 10 years. So I worry for Xbox, but they have a lot of talented people, a lot of studios, and Game Pass is a great thing, but that will lead us to where we're going. So any final words, on where this is at?
I think I read this or someone mentioned this before. Xbox has been very like their leadership team has been pretty vocal. They've been trying to like interact with the community. Like you don't really see that as much on the Sony side of things, or even like Nintendo. Nintendo like has their little directs and stuff like that. But I don't know. And correct me if I'm wrong. If they do any sort of interaction with the fans as much. So it's a double-edged sword, right? Because they're so close to your fans and stuff like that, then to do this to them, it feels like it's even more of a like a personal cut, you know?
Because they come off as like, we're gamers too. We love gaming.
Yeah.
So when they act like your friend or like fellow gamers,
right?
But then they do something very businessy.
Yeah.
Not only very businessy, but also just like we've said, completely drop the ball on the messaging, the PR, all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, you're not only like corporate stooges, but like you're also full of shit corporate stooges who just got caught not being able to talk about like the recent closures and trying to spin it in a way that we're seeing straight through. So what else is fake? Do you play games? Do you like this? And you know, like that's frustrating and heartbreaking for people who are like, yeah, Phil's a gamer. He's a fellow gamer. And like when he or his team get caught in something like this, it's like, oh no, you wear an Xbox or like a Banjo-Kazooie shirt, but like you're wearing a suit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, it's that kind of like fake bullshit. And it feels more impactful because Sony's like, nah, we're wearing suits and we're straight up going to tell you we wear suits. Yeah. And we're going to act like we wear suits. Like
Jim Ryan, nobody liked him, and we were okay with that because we could make fun of him and not realize that he would tell us Vib Runner is his favorite game.
Yeah, right. Like
Jumping Flash.
Yeah. And like since Reggie left, like Nintendo's kind of the same deal, right? Like they, like you said, they have a little bit of personality in those directs, but like they're never as personable as like Phil or the Xbox team try to be. So it is more impactful when they seem like your buddies.
Yeah. And I mean, quite honestly, Microsoft, I get it because Xbox is a brand. That's their brand. That's really the most consumer facing. I think they have enjoyed that when it was okay to stumble. Hey, we're with you. We're going to back you. Now it's going to be like hard decisions, tough things. And when they've talked to their fans are going to feel a little bit left out. And I totally get that. There's a passionate Xbox community. And I appreciate that because when I look at Sony, I love them despite all of the ridiculousness. And Xbox fans are like, I love them and they're going to make things better. And I kind of feel like at this point, you know, and I've also heard like, oh, Phil Spencer didn't make these decisions with leadership. Phil is making the decision for Xbox. We have CEOs and companies. If Satya Nadella is doing the job and telling Jim Ryan exactly what to do with video games without his background, we're screwed more than anything else because the guy that you know, likes servers and subscriptions for PowerPoint is telling them how to make profits in gaming. That's not a good look. It's Phil making the decisions on how to make his business profitable. He doesn't like the decisions. He's a human being, of course, but he's the one that's making the decisions, telling Satya, this is how we're going to hit our profits for Xbox, because every division owns that. It's kind of like the LinkedIn guy at Microsoft isn't asking Satya how to get more bad emails to LinkedIn and tell people to sell you services on LinkedIn. We've all dealt with that. But once again, Xbox is LinkedIn, is servers. It's all part of their process. And every president of those parts owns their business. They make the decisions to make the profits. Phil owns that. And if people disagree and thinks he's like, you're confusing yourself, like Jim Ryan. And what is this? Furukawa is the Nintendo president. All Furukawa does is drops a Twitter handle that says, this is Furukawa. We're getting no new Switch. We're getting a direct in June. Peace out. That's what he says. That's all you hear from him for a month. Yeah. So that's where we're at with Xbox. This is the horrible stuff. But the good news is we're going to have some good stuff happening at the Xbox Showcase and Redacted Showcase, which is so strange as we get to the bonus round. So if you don't know this, right now we're looking at the Summer of Games. E3 no longer exists. E3 ESA said we're out. peace out. Don't ask for us to come back because we can't do it. So instead of that, we're getting essentially the Summer of Games happening starting June 7th. We have the Summer Game Fest, Day of the Devs, Accessibility Showcase. June 8th, Wholesome Direct. Then the Future Game Show Summer Showcase, which if you told me what that was, I wouldn't even know what it is. Who does it? Who Future is? I don't know. June 9th, Xbox Game Showcase and Redacted Direct, which I love because, it's a secret. June 10th, Ubisoft Forward. And then the events that are TBA are the Nintendo June Direct and PC Gaming Showcase. So if you look at this, gentlemen, essentially everything is still happening within 4 days. So that's still not bad compared to what E3 was, which was like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Sorry, is Devolver doing something as well, or?
Not announced yet, and I don't know if they will. I don't know. They've done things in the past where they just drop it, and it's goofy and fun.
Yeah.
And then we're hearing rumors that Sony may drop a showcase in May. So that's kind of what we've got in the past, except for Sony playing their own game. So with that, we've heard some rumors and things with that. Last year, Xbox did a showcase where they would allow people to buy tickets, go to their local theater and watch. I did that with Shawn Nias last year. Right. I haven't heard anything about that. They are going to have a presence in LA. Luke Lore's going to that. Some other people are going to that where they're going to meet. Giant Bomb's having their thing. So that's what's going on. But beyond right now, it's just going to be a digital presence. No real people on a stage, from what I understand.
Oh, wow.
So the way we've done predictions in the past has been 3 key things: what you expect to see, what you want to see, and what you don't want to see. So for Xbox Showcase and the Redacted, which, could we just all be real? That's the Call of Duty game, right?
Yeah.
Following. Kind of like with the Skyrim or the Starfield Showcase.
Last year was Starfield.
Following last year.
Yeah.
Exactly. So unless somebody has an idea what else Redacted could be.
Yeah.
It's that. I mean, they could really come out swinging and do something different with, like, again, one of their big franchises. Gears of War would be probably my top choice. Halo something, but like I don't see them doing anything with Halo. So like Gears of War, maybe if they have a surprise, but it's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But like I would like it to be something else.
It's Black Ops, right? Because everything's redacted in the documents. We can't say anything. It's Cold War. Where all the documents have been redacted for that. So let's just say it's going to be that. Xbox owns ABK now. They own Call of Duty. They're going all in, and quite honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with like a half hour of Call of Duty. Starfield, sure. Tell us what the hell the game is finally and take us a half hour into it. But with a Call of Duty Black Ops game, which I've heard is going to be like Desert War era, like kind of like Gulf War, kind of like early 90s, that era. Maybe that's the first question. What could Xbox do to fill up like a full showcase of just Call of Duty?
I mean, didn't Activision do that already? Like when they did do their showcases, didn't Call of Duty have its own kind of section, or am I mistaken for that?
I think they would just show up at like a PlayStation or Xbox and tell you, we're going to do a playthrough. Hey, guy on my left, I'm going in, I'm crawling down, I'm rappelling down. Right. There's Russians, let's kill them. Yeah. And that's kind of how it was.
That's it. Like, showcase is so vague that it can be that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, is this going to be the first, or potentially, could this be the first, like, not cross-generational Call of Duty? Was the last one cross-gen? I don't know. I have no idea.
I will look it up. Keep talking.
So if it's not, like, I wonder if they could show more of that. I remember them talking about like the ray tracing and different lighting abilities on newer consoles and what that unlocked before. I wonder if they don't have to worry about the last generation of consoles. Like, can they push that even further? Can they really make that a thing and focus on like those big improvements and, you know, maybe something like that, or maybe like the game coming Yeah, see, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was on PS4 and Xbox One. So I'm wondering if this, like, could they say this is the first Call of Duty game that is only on Xbox Series and PlayStation 5? It is only on new, and here's the improvements. 15, 20 minutes of that, 10 minutes of gameplay, story, whatever. Like, there could be improvements. Or like even 10 minutes of that, 10 minutes of gameplay, story, 10 minutes of like, like multiplayer or something like that. Like,
I'm just wondering if they're going to throw in, like, because I know, Todd, Luke has been playing COD on mobile. So I wonder if they're going to throw that.
Is it what is that, the Modern Warfare or the Warfield or
Warzone?
One of those.
Called?
Yeah, one of those, whatever. But it, like there's
Warzone.
They're going to maybe give that. Maybe they'll throw in a card game or some other nonsense like in there. I don't know.
Velatros in Call of Duty now.
They also said that they're doing Call of Duty for Switch, didn't they?
Oh,
they said it would be there, Mark. So if they try to put it on the current Switch, that could be painful.
Yeah.
But they may say, hey, all of the old Black Ops games that were on PS3, I don't know, PS4, I don't know where they were on. Those games will be in a collection on Switch. Not this game, hopefully. That would be horrible.
And again, that's what I mean. Like, it's so vague. Like, showcase is so vague. Yeah. Redacted is it could be Call of Duty blank, just the showcase for the next game, or it could be all over Call of Duty. Here's what we're doing now that Microsoft owns this. Here's the new game. Here's the one on Switch. Here's the one on mobile. Here's a Call of Duty TV show or movie or something that they're developing with Amazon. Like, this could be a whole bunch of shit that we don't really know about.
Yeah.
That's all combined into a half hour, or it could be a half hour about like, hey, look at the shadows that this one blade of grass makes as you shoot enemies in Warzone that you don't take 2 seconds to stand still. But this exists because there's a ladybug on the blade of grass, and the ladybug has a complex backstory that you'll never need to know. But that's what we can do with this new generation of hardware. Like that kind of bullshit that they do in like Forza games as you're blowing past these blades of grass at 400 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, at least what I'm hoping, I was not impressed by the campaign from Modern Warfare 3 last year. They went to more of an open world. It did feel like more of a war zone where you dropped in, you do these things, you get power-ups and things like that. I'm hoping it's more of a true campaign this year, so they go more into that. That's really going to focus, but they're going to talk about, oh, by the way, all the maps from this and from the previous iterations are now in our online version, because that was the big thing I think people are talking about, like, well, if we're doing this again, what maps are going to be where? Because that's a big thing with like the COD mobile community is the maps and an introduction, like the weapons and the skins and how do they play. Warzone's a big deal on mobile. It's a huge, a big component of it. So I'm guessing they're probably going to go all in and explaining that stuff. But what I truly hope it is a true campaign, the ones everybody loves, but I only play and I don't play the multiplayer. So for those of us who only like the campaign and the roller coaster, I hope it's there. Because if it's more of what they did last year, I'm out. And I'm like, one other question. This is all swirling. Will Call of Duty, the new game, be on Game Pass? Day one.
Yep.
Oof. That would be interesting. I mean, I would think so. I would like it to be. So then I would then give Call of Duty another try, but otherwise, yeah.
There's rumors that Game Pass is getting another bump in
here
cost,
or just another price increase.
Another price increase. With studio closures, Microsoft has two problems. One is like the public image that we've already talked about. Two is if they're closing studios, that means like, again, they're trying to cut some costs. They're trying to do something. I think if Game Pass is their option of like, this is going to be how we make money. This is a recurring subscription. This is how we're doing. They've shut down those like, stackable kind of things for a lot of it. Like they're really trying to make it so like you pay your price, you pay this, you get Call of Duty. If they're doing a price increase, I don't think there's a way to do that right now with the library that they have without adding some of these things. And I think Call of Duty is a big no-brainer for people to say, hey, here's the holidays, get your Game Pass subscription, get a year of Game Pass, get this, get that, whatever. Call of Duty's included this time. Like, it makes so much sense logistically and from a PR marketing standpoint, because right now they need it. That I can't see them not doing that, man. It's just, it would absolutely blow my mind if they didn't. They need to do something, and something drastic, I think.
Yeah.
And these recent closures and news is showing that they need to do something drastic.
That's true. Yeah.
The interesting part will be when Call of Duty drops, Activision ABK earnings were a part of Xbox during the last Call of Duty drop. Huge infusion of cash and money into Xbox. Year 2, though, you're lapping that. If it's on Game Pass now, obviously you potentially lose a huge part of the Xbox fans. You might bring in the PC audience who has Game Pass and says, I'm not going to buy it because I've got Game Pass. So you may lose that. But if they, like you said, Mark, increase their cost, they basically really get hardcore to say Call of Duty's on Game Pass. People buy more Xboxes. People buy Game Pass. They jump in. And the worst case scenario is a lot of people still buy it on PC and PlayStation full bore. Maybe it's a win-win. And especially if people stick around, hey, I bought the Game Pass and I forgot to turn off my subscription or stick with it. That's what Xbox wants. So maybe there's an offset, and I hope that happens because I know I won't do it, but I've already subscribed because I stacked. I'm one of those horrible people, Mark, I have like 2 more years or whatever. I've got it. I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I'm already a sunk cost for Microsoft. But if they get people in, I think that's a win-win. And if they can find some way to address the streaming audience that doesn't cost you $15 and you have to be on Game Pass Ultimate, and they can get people that don't have a console to play Call of Duty and get that, I think that's a win-win too. But that's reliant on Xbox to say, how do I play this if I don't own a console or a PC, and I get the full-on Call of Duty experience?
And like Call of Duty is such a perfect game for this because they make so much money, or they can make so much money on the DLC stuff, on Warzone packs, skins, on cosmetics, on all
season
that
passes,
extra stuff that they just don't have with a lot of Microsoft games. They wanted it with Halo, and they dropped the ball on the multiplayer and the skins and the packs and all that stuff so hard that it wasn't even fit. Like, they've got the system there for this game. They've got a game that that people spend money on. You're telling me if I get Call of Duty for free, include it with Game Pass, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be way more likely to buy the day one skin pack or the, tie into whatever kind of skin pack, or like whatever it is. I'm like, oh man, this game usually costs $90, but I can get my skin pack for $20. Of course I'm going to drop $20 to make myself look like, Deadpool with a Hello Kitty backpack. Great. Let's go.
Yeah. What if they said, like, first on Game Pass, this skin pack, this cosmetic,
Game Pass perks,
or you get a % discount on season passes, or you get your season pass 3 days early on Game Pass. I think those are all things they can do where people don't feel screwed because they're still getting it, but being a Game Pass member feels like I have a benefit that others don't. So it's a part of being in the Xbox ecosystem. I think those are the plays they need to do. Oh, by the way, hey, in Call of Duty, if you're an Xbox fan and you're on Game Pass, you get a Master Chief skin.
Game Pass,
you get a certain rifle.
So many games, like games.
Go in, you get a Gears, you get Gears skins.
YouTube,
you get the chainsaw gun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things they can do to make it better to play on Xbox.
100%.
If they leverage all of their studios together and make some synergy.
Okay, like Indiana Jones. Like, you want Indy's hat in Call of Duty? Cool. It's a Game Pass Ultimate perk. Subscribe, and you get Indy's hat on your account.
Doom guy armor, Doom guy gun.
Yes.
You could get something silly. You could bring in, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything silly with Xbox. Sea of Thieves, Mark. They could have maybe instead of a knife for a melee weapon, they've got a scimitar from Sea of Thieves. They've got skulls. There's a lot of stuff they can do with their brands and IP because they have so many now.
Right.
Yeah.
That they could really go full bore and make it. Yeah, exactly. So that's Call of Duty, folks. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's the biggest thing that Xbox owns. They truly own it this time around, and I don't think they're going to be playing games. So hopefully they use it for in a way that makes sense for everybody. So with that, can I take a 3-minute break? And we'll be right back.
I'd love to do
it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. So we talked about the bad news. We talked about Xbox Redacted, which is Call of Duty. Don't be silly. But now we're going to get into the actual Xbox showcase. This is typically around 60 minutes long. And I'll be curious to see what they do, if they're going to do more of the developer direct and the things they've done recently, or if they're going to have the talking heads on stage. I would recommend they don't bring on the talking heads on stage and just show the games. But from that, we're going to do 3 categories of areas we want our experts to talk about. What we expect to see, what we want to see, kind of like our hopes and dreams, and then what we don't want to see. Kind of the things are like, please don't, but you're going to do it, of course. Think about like Wii Music and Ravi drums. There you go.
Perfect.
So, Chris, what do you expect to see from the Xbox showcase?
I mean, at this point, it almost seems like all of Xbox fandom is like willing it to fruition, and that is like a new Gears game in some way, shape, or form. And Gears 5 did kind of end on a cliffhanger. So where's 6? How? And I'm also curious how they're going to do that, because you had a choice in Gears 5. So what do they do with that? It'd be cool if they allowed you to continue your choice because of the, you have the save file or whatever the case may be. Like, that'd be cool. Yeah. So that's definitely what I expect to see showing up on Xbox. But these prediction things, Todd and Mark, I'm so terrible at them. So I'm knowing me, it'll be not there at all, because I rolled it too. So
if Mark's a kind soul, he'll take clips and put it on TikTok.
Yeah. So that's what I'm expecting right now.
So the Gears 6 is going to go back to Gears of War, or is it going to stay Gears?
I don't know why they changed it.
So weird.
Is it because of God of War? Like
that's the thing. God of War, you just like, it's war. War.
Yeah.
Gears. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Or God, I guess.
Yeah.
God or Gears.
That's it. Like the GOW kind of thing. It's like God or Gears of War. So like just saying Gears makes it easier, marketing standpoint.
So, I don't know.
It's like a movie from was it the Pixar adjacent team? Now it's Gears. Like the movie, was it Robots? Yeah. Yeah, not like that. Yeah. So Mark, what do you expect to see from the Xbox showcase? You can do many or just one.
I will do 2, but they're basically the same kind of like, I can do like a twofer all at once. And that is Indiana Jones and Perfect Dark getting gameplay.
Wow. Perfect Dark.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. Especially indie, but I really expect to see some more from Perfect Dark. I expect to see something from there. So I think deep dive into indie and teasing some Perfect Dark.
Okay.
you buy the release date because we've heard some leaks about when Indie's going to launch, and I'm hearing like December. Do you buy that they're going to put it out to basically be after Black Friday, kind of the late game, the last game of the year?
Seems like a weird play, but Microsoft
big enough, right?
Shit in the past.
Yeah. They also have done stupid stuff. Continue to
weird. Yeah. Okay.
What you got?
I'm expecting Xbox to do a lot of fan service to make a lot of people really happy. I think we're going to see the ABK catalog really embraced. Like, these are the backwards compatible games. They're going to be brought forward, and we're going to get like a roll of like the greatest hits. So we're going to get like Call of Duty. We're going to get Spyro, Crash. Maybe, hey, we bringing Skylanders along. Hey, remember Skylanders?
Oh man, Skylanders.
And you know, some of the odds and ends, maybe a prototype. Maybe they figured out the all of the licensing for like the old Marvel games, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, a Spider-Man, and some of those games along the way. So I expect really to see some of those heritage titles, and maybe even like all of the old Diablo games. I think of like Diablo Immortal, Diablo 2, all dropped on Game Pass right away. Maybe even they mentioned that if you are a World of Warcraft subscriber, you will get a discount if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber.
That would be...
And Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, if you're new to Warcraft, you get all of the past content for free, and you get that discount subscription. Dang. I'm thinking something like that. And they may say, and we're going to find out a way to bring World of Warcraft to consoles. Maybe.
That is one hell of an expect.
Yeah.
This is a lot of want.
I feel like that's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think they're going to bring a lot with that ABK thing to make people feel like, well, this is why we bought ABK, not because of just another Call of Duty, another King game, and like that. I mean, I feel like they're going to show this is the value of what we spent that money on, and this is the value we bring to you as a Game Pass subscriber. And that's why you need to be there. Because I think that's what they need to say. There's a reason why you subscribe and why you come versus just like, here's a handful of games that you don't know what you're going to get. And it might be like, hey, there's a house sim and there's a cleaning sim. And then there's this game, this old game from EA. And here you go. Enjoy. It looks like a lot, but I'll play two. Or maybe none. So I think that's what we're going to get. We're going to get really the ABK like backwards catalog is going to be shown to really build. It's kind of like when Xbox did that backwards compatibility thing that really got people excited. And I think it's something to do. This is kind of like their peace offering. Yeah, people say, hey, look.
Even with Bethesda, right? Like they threw all the Bethesda games into Game Pass, and it was great.
Rare Replay is the same kind of deal. Yeah. Smart play.
Yeah. So that's one thing I think they will do. And I think the other thing that we're going to see is I think we're going to see that we do see Avowed, and it looks a lot better, and then finally reassures people that Obsidian delivers, and they deliver on time. So I think because a lot of people were not impressed, but I think this is where Obsidian delivers, and they show, hey, hey, you have Elder Scrolls, we have Elder Scrolls at home, and it's coming to Game Pass. So I think that's going to be a big thing, because I don't know when people think they're going to get the next Elder Scrolls. So I think that's going to be a big thing. And I'm giving you one more.
Okay.
I expect to see a Fallout remaster announced.
Wow.
Not sure which one, but one of the either 3 or New Vegas will get announced as a remaster in time for Fallout Season 2 on Prime.
Good call. Yeah.
Okay.
Could see that.
Okay. Next category. What you want to see. These are the things that defy rational thought. It defies what makes financial sense. This is what your heart wants when you dream at night and you say, honey, I love you, but if I could get this, I would give you and the children away.
Okay. All right.
Maybe. I mean, maybe you may
everything
not feel
okay
that way. I don't know.
home time?
I don't know if you ever told your wife that. Like, if I could get this, honey, I would leave
everything
you and the
all right?
kids in a second.
I've got
Everything's
some
okay. My
numbers
son's
for you.
going to college.
Okay. Yeah, great. Good stuff.
My son's going to college, so I'm good to go. My wife's like, "Hey, honey, you play your games if you want." So yeah, she's fully supportive.
Okay, good. Just checking for no apparent reason. Chris, how you doing for this one?
Oh, for me, what do I want to see? Well, Hi-Fi Rush 2, but that's probably not.
Fuck.
God, imagine that. Yeah. Who owns the license of that now?
No, but for me, I would love to see. I would love to see another Quake.
Oh yeah,
because that's another IP that Bethesda has, and it's like, come on, let's see what you got. It is just, they did Doom Eternal, and that was a great game, but it's been a little bit. So let's see what else it is doing. What else they're cooking. And Obsidian, like I want to see another like a mini or a smaller experience from Obsidian, or just from some other studio, just something small. That that's charming, and that's just like lets people just do something creative instead of the grind of making these larger games that that people are expecting as well Microsoft to do. So
another game that will be shown and then canceled, or I mean critical awards, and then you're done. So I've got it, Chris. If I've got this right, a small charming game.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
Does that encapsulate what you want? Okay.
Yeah, small charming game.
Quake and a small charming game. They go hand in hand. Like what is it? Doom Guy and Annabelle.
Yeah.
There
you go.
Yeah, I like that.
Mark,
I'm gonna go with another simple two-parter. First off, Banjo-Kazooie. I knew
Banjo. Go for Mark. Go.
Come on, Mark.
That's it. I think Xbox needs some lighter stuff.
Well, yes.
I think they keep trying to be like, we can be serious, just like Sony. We can do this kind of, and like I said before, they keep dropping the ball. So stop doing that, or like continue to do it, but like also add some fun to your games, because games can be fun. And just take this IP, or like anything, like insert like Spyro or something, whatever you want to do. But like, I think a Banjo game, again, could just be fun. Could just like, one, showcase how powerful the Xbox is. You have the Series S. It's accessible for families. They can encroach a little bit on Nintendo's turf and be like, we have some fun games. We have some accessible games for the whole family, and they look way better than a 12-year-old tablet with shifty Joy-Cons. Like, Xbox can do that. I think that'd be fun. And the second thing that I want is Goonies DLC for Sea of Thieves. I want that to be the next thing. We've had Pirates of the
with
Caribbean.
Sloth and
we've had
One-Eyed Willie.
Monkey Island. Yeah, let's toss in the next big one is going to be, I want it to be Goonies. And yeah, I think like the Pirates one was great. Monkey Island, awesome. But like, if I'm going Pirates, next thing I want is the Goonies, man. That's it. Like, go through some like One-Eye Willie treasure caves, big water slides, big set pieces, a crazy octopus that'll get cut. And from the final, did you guys ever see the Goonies octopus? Like, thank God that got cut. It is a horrible scene. Horrible scene. Look it up. There are some like they filmed it. It's terrible. The octopus looks really bad. It's just it is a terrible scene. I'm so glad it got cut from the movie, because it would have taken it from a classic to like, what the hell am I watching? It's that bad. So check it out. But it's fantastic to just see in retrospect of like, why did they even film this? But I want all of that DLC for Sea of Thieves. So that's my wants. Neither of those are going to happen. But that's what I want.
What if Elder Wild just turns into Banjo Kazooie and it was that all along? It was like, just kidding, that wasn't actually a thing. It's Banjo 3? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Banjo Kaz 3? I don't know.
I mean,
You gotta play with the name, right?
3. There's Banjo 4, I guess, with this one, right? Because nuts.
Oh, that's right, nuts and bolts. Yeah.
So Banjo 4.
Yeah.
But I also want, like I said, like I want the full kind of thing, like add a Kazooie backpack in Call of Duty, so you're running around and replace the machine gun noises. So it's like, that if you just go full on like corporate synergy with this, and just like have Banjo Kazooie across the board in all these super serious Microsoft IPs, and just have just that.
Here for
nice. I like that. So I'm going to go a little bit off kilter. So I think we don't know what Double Fine's going to be doing next. So what I want to see is I want Double Fine to go all in their back catalog and make like a weird like mashup team up in like an action platformer where it's like it's if you think of all like the old Double Fine, it's like in their games they've done with Tim Schafer, it's going to be like Day of the Tentacle plus Manny Calaveras plus the kids from Psychonauts plus this, and it's just like a weird team up. What was that other game they did? Costume Quest?
Yeah.
It's that too. But we're going to mash it up, and it's going to be a weirdo where they're going to be like fully infused in all of the modern day aesthetics of like a Psychonauts 2 engine. But it's going to be a weird mashup where the worlds, it's like a multiversus with that. And I think you could really do something fun with it. And Tim Schafer would just go crazy. Like he'd play with the environments. He'd put team ups together with characters you wouldn't expect. And it'd be just so fun and interesting and neat. And even bring in the guy, I'm trying to remember was the name, the other guy he worked with all the LucasArts games. But basically, and they could collaborate and get all those characters together because they're really beloved franchises that I just think could be fun and playing with it in a very much like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. If you saw that Disney film and play with it, that could be a ton of fun. And then out of the blue, hey, we're taking on like the Xbox Microsoft like villains and things like, and then they play tongue in cheek and it's like, hey, there's what was the leader of Xbox when it went horribly wrong? Don Matrick. Don Matrick, we just give him like we use him, but we give him a stupid name, but it's really Don Matrick, and they just go full on like crazy. And then of course Jack Black's involved and Tenacious D. That's what I want.
I love that.
That'd be cool.
That's fantastic.
Yes. Other than that, I want the team behind Flight Simulator because, yes, I know people like Flight Simulator. They say that, but they don't really mean it. I want that team to make Crimson Skies, but I want it to be more like a Xbox utilizing their franchises within a Crimson Skies to basically bring back, when Halo did like some flight stuff in what was it, Halo 3? I want that to be Halo's versus Gears flight combat in a Crimson Skies type of, like engine. I think that would be so fun. But maybe I'm wrong. Don't do that at all. Just bring back Crimson Skies 2. So take that back. That's the redacted part. I'm redacting that part. I just want Crimson Skies 2 by the Flight Simulator team. Yeah. Nice. So there you go. I've taken that back. So that's what I want to see. And nobody else does want to see any of those things.
Oh, man.
Okay. So now we get to the weird part of the show, which is like, this doesn't make any sense, but it truly does make sense. What you don't want to see. What are those things when you watch a showcase and you're like, oh, I can tune out for 10 minutes because this isn't for me. Those things you know is going to show up. And it's like, why did this take 10 minutes when it should have taken 2 or none at all? So, Chris, what you don't want to see at an Xbox/redacted showcase?
All right. I know the K stands for King, but I don't want to see a mobile game. I don't want to see a
Yep.
mobile game on.
Yep.
But I also get it. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why Microsoft made this acquisition, is really to get into that mobile market. Because correct me if I'm wrong, they're doing something like they're trying to make their own store on. Yep. I don't want to see any of that either. Like, keep that for something else. Yep. Like, this showcase is more for the hard. I don't want to say hard. Like the more like the more like gamer experience. I don't know what you want to say. Like not the person playing on their phone, not the person playing on their phone. The one
it's
that's
not
like
the casuals. It's the hardcore.
Right. Yeah. So like I want that to be what they focus on this round. Like, and you can have a developer direct that could just focus on mobile stuff if you want to, but
people that play 300 hours of Candy Crush a year and nothing else aren't watching this showcase.
Right.
Don't tell us about it.
Exactly.
No casual mobile. Is that the best way to put it? No casual mobile.
And I think the other thing I don't want to see, I'm gonna get some hate on this, but just not another real-time strategy.
Really?
Not a four. Like, I mean, like, I mean, they're impressive. Don't get me wrong. Like the Civilization, I think it's Aura, all that stuff is very cool.
Yes,
like, I can see the appeal for some people, but again, like, that's a very niche market. Very niche. I feel like
they don't always show well either.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's fun. They can be fun to play if you're patient, but if you're patient,
right?
Like, you know, like they just it's such it's a strategy game, and strategy never shows well on a showcase like this. You have 30 seconds to show why a 4-hour strategy session in a game is going to work really well. That doesn't translate. I'm sorry, you can't build up an army and plan an attack in a 30-second trailer and show why that's fun. It looks like
I finally built that street.
Yeah,
isn't that exciting? That street has been built.
There's one game I will make an exception for, and that is StarCraft 3. Like, if that,
but those games always have like kick-ass CGI trailers that show no game.
I mean, that in that sense,
like, you know, like that's
how they get them. That's how they got me.
Exactly.
Those games.
And then you play it and you're like, what the hell am I doing? I don't look as cool as I want to look.
No.
Yeah. Zerg Rush. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, so no casual mobile, no RTS. Chris, make sure you leave your email address at the bottom of the podcast.
Yeah, all right. I will do that.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, what do you not want to see?
Mine's simple. Mine is very simple. Don't show me why Game Pass is great.
Yes.
I don't want a Game Pass recap. Don't tell me, here are the 100 games you can get on Game Pass right now. Henry earmuffs. I fucking know. Like, I've been on Game Pass for years. I've been on Game Pass for multiple console generations, and everyone watching knows the value of Game Pass. Show me what's going to be on Game Pass, sure. Right. But don't show me a recap of, like, we have Gears of War 3 and Halo Master Chief Collection and Rare Replay. Nobody cares. Stop wasting the time to do it.
Right.
That's it.
I will second the fact that a lot of times even the messaging on what game is available on Game Pass gets really muddy.
Yeah.
Like, so 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Do that going forward. Like, you know, like the next Call of Duty, and it's going to be on Game Pass. Great. Awesome. Indiana Jones, day one Game Pass. Cool. That is great. You keep my subscription rolling, but like, don't show me a recap of the games that I can already play or already have been playing. Don't be like, Sea of Thieves is great and it's on Game Pass. Unless you're going to be like, again, here's Sea of Thieves with Goonies. Don't forget it's on Game Pass. And if you're a subscriber, you get the Goonies DLC for free. That's cool. But don't just be like, I don't know, we dropped like Monkey Island last year and that's on Game Pass. You should really check it out. It's like, I already did check it out. Shut up and show me something new.
Right. Right.
Like, I hate those stupid recaps of like stuff we've been playing for 4 years already. Like,
Yeah.
Stop wasting time. If that's what they're doing, like, just pack it up. You know what I mean? Like, that's just
It's not working, right?
no. That's
If
it.
you
Like,
weren't interested before it was available, why would I finally like, oh, after you told me 85 times, oh, I think I do agree with you now.
yeah, maybe I will try that real-time strategy. You've convinced me. Like, no, Microsoft.
Cozy game that's been out there for 85 months.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Like, it's not, that's not the way to get people. Like, show the new stuff. Game Pass is what Game Pass is. We know it already. Just drop it in there. We know the value. Show me the new stuff that's going to keep my subscription rolling. I don't need a recap of why I've had Game Pass for 4 years or 10 years or whatever it is at this point.
If I haven't played it in 10 years, I'm not going to play it in year 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay. I'm gonna do a couple of things here. You're gonna love this because I'm kind of building a lot of this stuff. I don't want the montage where they don't tell you the name of the damn game, and then you have to figure it out where it's available and what it was. That is silly. If it's not important for you to tell us what the name of the game is, and so don't put it there. Do it something later or something else because it just it kind of makes us all feel like fools. And we have to take notes. By the time it's done, we'll have forgotten it anyways. Are you ready? Are you taking notes during the show? What is that game? Let me look it up. It's the game that kind of looked like this. Well, I know. I hate that. I hate the montage where it's like, here's 85 games in 2 minutes. Try to keep up, folks. Yeah. And some of those, in maybe 3 of those will be on Game Pass. Maybe. We'll tell you later. Who knows? I don't like that. I don't like the montage where it's not important enough to tell us or give them their time. When we saw like 15 minutes of this other game that's, another Honkai Skyrail, a free-to-play game, and it's like, I'm never going to play that game. Don't do that. So don't do that. I don't want any talking heads. I don't want anybody telling us how great games, we love our developers, we're in for the community. I don't want any of that. We're done with that era. I don't want Phil on stage wearing a shirt to Mark's thought of it's going to be a game that we're going to make. No, it's not. It's all a thing to steal your heart and make you feel like, oh, Xbox is one of us. I don't want that. No talking heads. I also don't want the next big free-to-play game from China for 15 minutes. Like, what is that? Black sand soil game? They'd be like, that looks cool. Isn't that like the last game that you showed us that was cool and we're going to play it? No, I don't want that. I don't want that either because, quite honestly, it's not there. And I really want them to be clear on what I don't want to see is vague, not clear on what this game is going to be on and when it's coming. If you don't have a date, put TBD. And if you don't know if it's where it's going to land, PC or Game Pass, don't show it then. Because you should at least let us know that it's going to be where we can expect it to be so we know it's on Game Pass. Because they do a lot of weird things like all these games going forward will be on Game Pass. Well, what about those games? I don't know. Yeah. And then you have to wait till the press release after. I don't like that. Yeah. And other than that, if a game's close in for release, I don't want 30 minutes of it. I'm showing up to get more information about what's going to happen that I don't know about that I can't necessarily buy this year. Yeah. You're not selling the people on the showcase about games that are coming to Game Pass because they're already on board. Show us, spend more time on the games that are going to happen that want us to keep on Game Pass for the next 12 months. If games are not going to happen, be honest, but go from there. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just tired of the nonsense that we see in all of these game shows, and it's ridiculous. Yeah. And don't show Call of Duty in the standard show if you're going to do it in the redacted show. Yes, that. Don't. Yep. Like, don't show Starfield if you're going to give us a hour of Starfield later. It's silly. It's taking up real estate and time.
Call of Duty followed by 30 minutes of Call of Duty.
Exactly. Yeah. So, sorry. It's no more BS of these shows.
Yeah.
Get us in, get us locked, tell us why we need an Xbox or Game Pass. I think, right? Is that where we're at?
Yeah. Especially now that it's not E3. Like, these are all separate things. There's no need to do all of this. You know what I mean? Like at any given time, like if you don't have enough to show, do it in July. If you don't have an hour to fill, do a 40-minute direct.
Don't.
Or what, you know what I mean? Like just like there's when these companies are doing their own thing, like Nintendo's great at this because they will do here. We're doing 20 minutes today of this, or the next time it's like we're doing 45 minutes of that, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, Nintendo's really got something to talk about this time. Or like, oh, Nintendo just hasn't talked to us in a while. They're going to talk about indie games for 15 minutes. Cool. That's neat. I love that and I respect it because Nintendo's great at pacing. And some of these other companies, it's like, again, here's a sizzle reel for 86 games in 40 seconds. Try to keep up. Or here's why you should get Game Pass. Or here's this stupid thing. Like, yeah, I'm so sick of the bullshit. Like, you're right on, Todd. Like, all of that stuff needs to just be cut.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a Key and Peele skit ready to be done. It feels like we keep doing this and nobody figures it out. It is funny, though, Mark, when I thought about the last Nintendo thing they did, it was like, here's Endless Ocean. It's a thing. It's big. It's Endless Ocean. What are you doing here? Let's move on.
Yeah.
And here's a 65 Metacritic game for you. Enjoy, because you liked it on a Wii, because we had all those great games.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm assuming you will all agree with everything we said, so don't worry about that. You don't have to tell us how great we are. But with that, we end the show. Thank you all for going on this journey in gaming. Chris, tell people where they can keep up with you in the world of gaming.
Oh man. Well, you can find me every so often on Twitter or whatever at TC1H1D. I'm trying to do better at Threads, but that's the same thing there, TC1H1D. And we drop our episodes ideally every Wednesday evening. We are I think we cracked 170 episodes at this point, so we're trying to catch up to you guys on the Secret Friends side of things. So yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, so it's been fun, and interact with us there, and we'll keep this Xbox Game Pass game rolling until the wheels fall off, I guess. So,
Chris, as your marketing manager, tell people if they want to keep notes on their games, where could they do that?
Well, they can do that. I did come up with an Xbox Game Pass journal that is it's out on Amazon, and you can grab it for it's like $7 or something on there. Where you can kind of follow along with us during our episodes where we talk about our games. It's all formatted in that way, and then you can write your little notes, scribble it down, and just like I figured it was a little different from the other merch that folks have, like t-shirts and stuff like that. So I was like, let me try something a little different. So that's what we came up with, and it supports the show, and we appreciate everyone's purchase. So we appreciate it, Todd, when you keep being my marketing manager for it. So that's great.
It's an awesome thing, and you should be proud of it. Yeah. It's amazing. I ordered it. People love it. Chris, you know what? Pitch your shit is all I say. You know what? Pimp your shit.
All right. We'll do.
Yeah, we'll put a note in on where people can get that on the show notes, so check that out as well. Mark, where can people reach out to you in the world of video games?
You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Canardian_gamer. And if you want to keep up with the weird things that I'm like 3D printing and doing in like Star Wars or other little fandoms, you can go on Canardian_Jedi for this kind of stuff.
Very cool.
And Mark needs to get more on Threads. Come on, Mark.
I do. I really
Threads.
do.
I tag you all the time.
I know, and
get on Threads.
I give it the little heart, and I read through a few more threads, and then I just do other things.
Links in bio. Mark's there for that.
I'm there.
Links in bio. Yeah. For me, I'm primarily on Threads these days as well, at Toxtra for my personal account. If you want the weird things I talk about in sports, after the show, I'm going to be watching the Timberwolves. Hopefully they beat the Nuggets. I'm also a diehard Minnesota fan and Michigan State fan, so check me out there for there. That's where I live. And on all things Secret Friends Unite, at Secret Friends Unite on Threads. Check out secretfriendsunite.com and patreon.com/secretfriendsunite if you want to check out our Patreon. And, join us where the cool kids are on our Discord as well, where we're talking about all the silly things.
I like thinking of sports teams in a very literal fashion and thinking of a Timberwolf versus a chicken nugget is hilarious to me, that the chicken nugget would even have a chance. Like, it's just going to get eaten.
They're the mutants from McDonald's.
But I like that, like it's still anyone's game at any point, and like a little chicky nugget.
Oh, Mark, a Pokemon fan wouldn't expect a Pokemon nugget to take on a wolf and not win.
Is it right? Yeah.
Come on.
You get a literal bag of trash versus a god, and it's still anyone's game if they're, that's the great thing about sports and Pokemon and weird literal weirdnesses in my brain.
I think we all need a mascot, like Pokemon type game of all the mascots from everything, whether it's food, sports, or franchises.
I like it.
We need mascot, collect them all, whatever we call that. Okay. So with that thought in mind, where who never knows where that takes you, we are done with the show. So once again, thank you all for joining us on this weird journey in video games where we never know where we're going to end. And folks, remember, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.